Hello, folks. Welcome to the call. This is David Ricklin from selfgrowth.com. We have a great opportunity today. The title of today's session is Insider Secrets of Publishing and Marketing Your Book in Today's Market. And I have a great opportunity. I'm going to be interviewing Chris Snook about publishing and marketing your book today. And he's going to be providing a ton of really good information. We're also going to give folks an opportunity to post some questions for us and see if we can get some stuff answered and give people more of an opportunity later on to learn some more. So I want to recommend everybody listen in on the whole call today, because at the end of the call, you're also going to have a special opportunity for people that are serious about book publishing and marketing your book. You're going to have a very special opportunity for everybody who fits into that space. I want to start just by giving you a little background about Chris. Chris Snook began investing in new media and publishing back in 2009, and he owns an equity stake in Parallel 6. They're a mobile technology and social media firm, and VTV, which produces internet reality TV, and No Limit Publishing. He's the editor-in-chief at No Limit Publishing and has personally reviewed over 3,400 author submittals to sign 40 author deals in the last 2 years. He's successfully acquired several authors from Random House, HarperCollins, and other traditional firms with his hybrid publishing and co-investment model, and we'll be talking about that. But he's become very frustrated for those he had to turn away as they went out on their own, and really they faced hidden costs, mistakes, and overwhelm in the current publishing marketplace. It's kind of the disarray that's going on. And he agreed to hop on this interview with me to help dispel the myths and shifting paradigms in the publishing business, to help really identify and empower you with information on what types of activities build your platform and brand, and give you insight and insider's perspective on where the marketplace for you and your book is heading. So without further delay, I'd like to welcome Chris. Chris, welcome to today's call.
It's a pleasure. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Very excited about it. And before we jump into some questions, I'd like to just do a couple of housekeeping things. I know we're going to give people an opportunity if they want to post some questions through Twitter and through Facebook, so I'll give out information on Facebook. We had made a post on Facebook. It's facebook.com/selfgrowth. So it's www.facebook.com/selfgrowth, SELFGROWTH. So feel free to post over there. If you're not a fan of our page, you need to like the page, and then you could post. You'll see it says Insider Secrets of Publishing and Marketing Your Book right at the top over there. And, Chris, I also know you have something going on Twitter. You want to mention that as well?
Yeah, for those of you who are more Twitter inclined, the hashtag #SelfPubInsider. If you're familiar with hashtags, just use #SelfPubInsider in any of your comments or questions, and I'll be refreshing the screen, and we'll try and weave the answers into that direction as we get some feedback there as well.
All right, sounds good. So let's jump in. So here's my first kind of open-ended question. What is the reality of the book business today for an author, as it relates to things like the opportunity, the challenges, and kind of the road to success? What's going on today?
Yeah, I'll start with a short answer, and then we can go from there, because I think that there's a lot of ways we can answer that. The simple reality, and I would encourage, for those of you who are learners that like to visualize stuff, I'll give you a couple seconds here to grab a piece of paper and a pen, because I'm going to try and draw pictures for you over this teleseminar for those who are visually inclined. But the simple reality is this sentence. It's never been easier to get into the game and more affordable to get into the game of publishing, whatever you think encompasses that word. And at the same time, the currency of the future is not money, it's attention, and it is more costly in the way of money to get and hold attention than at any other time in human existence. So you have this reality that plays out over all these different verticals, David, in the world of publishing and its ecosystem, and that simple reality is it's cheaper than ever to get in, and it's more expensive than ever to stand out.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's consistent with what I'm seeing. There's technology, there's create spaces, all these inexpensive ways to kind of get in and they're trying to make it easier and easier. But with that, you get a much broader group of people that are out there trying to publish. So for anybody to kind of see what you're doing and see your book, it's a bigger challenge. And I tie that into a little bit. I described the kind of the ADD society that we're in right now, where people are pulled in 1,000 directions. So yeah, I'm sure that's tied into the fact that it's just harder to get people's attention for anything right now.
Yeah, and building on that, I'll also go out there. I don't think this is a bold statement. For some, it may be bold. I don't think for most of you it will be. But another reality is that the bookstore era is dead, has been dead. But the bookstore era is officially dead. And to clarify what that means, and we could talk about this maybe throughout the call as we go through these answers. The bookstore era built a lot of the brands that you and I know today, and those brands have an edge, right? Because they were built in the bookstore era, they have following, they have community, they have database, they have success, and those are the those are the Facebook IPOs of the publishing world, meaning that whether or not it's going to lose money after it goes open or not, there's plenty of mezzanine capital available. There's plenty of funding available to go buy into those brands because there's no risk, right? Or there's as mitigated of a risk as you're going to find. The challenge is the things that worked in the bookstore era, when you and I could walk in and browse a shelf and discover new content, those things don't work anymore. None of them. And the ones that still are left kind of working less and less are on their way out. And all you have to do is think about your own personal music consumption. If you're Gen X or Boomer demographic, I would venture to guess you buy a lot less music today than you did 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it's not because digital isn't affordable. It's not because digital isn't ubiquitously available. It's just that as soon as you took away the browsing experience of an in-store thing, that subconsciously creates not only a different feeling, but also almost an obligation of, I've been in your store for 30 minutes, and if I do that too often, I should at least buy one of these used CDs on my way out. That consumption model doesn't exist in a world where you and I can be on a tablet or a smartphone, browse all day long, and not piss anybody off or feel bad about it if we don't buy anything. And so you have a lot of these weird dynamics shaping up. But again, a reality is that the bookstore era is dead, although Barnes & Noble is still around. We'll see how much longer they last. But between Best Buy and Barnes & Noble and a lot of the things that are likely to happen over the next 18 months, watching them disappear or completely move away to save their business, there's just a completely altered reality to what was successful before and what will be successful today.
Oh, I'm seeing it. It makes a lot of sense. So one of the things I know people are looking at is kind of a paradigm shift that's going on. So what do you see as the biggest paradigm shift for authors that they need to understand, whether it be fiction, nonfiction?
That's a perfect actually question to frame something that I wanted to get to during this call, and I'm glad we're getting to it this early. Again, if you have pen and paper, I'm going to break this down into two different visuals for you, but these will serve for the rest of our call as really good context, I think. If you have a pen and paper, do first this. Everyone on the phone, just draw 3 columns. I don't care how you hold the paper, just draw 3 columns. And get another piece of paper ready, but you don't need it yet. On the far left column, just write the word goal on the top. In the middle one, write strategy, and in the third one, write tactics. The biggest shift in reality for authors is the shift in control and responsibility. The beauty of today's model is the people who have the control ultimately, and who will end up with the control ultimately, are the author and the consumer, the end user, if you will, the reader. Up until now, the control has always been, the big 6 publishers and their retail channels and things like that. Amazon certainly wields a lot of control, but when it comes to content and when it comes to, having as much of an equal playing field as has ever existed, authors now have control. Well, with control comes responsibility. And responsibility takes shape in the form of most authors, whether they admit it or not, whether they're aware of it or not, have not been authors in the past. The paradigm shift is that an author was really a writer. So I'm going to suggest that everyone on this phone starts to differentiate those two terms. A writer is someone who writes. And people don't get paid to write, right? People write for all kinds of reasons. But no one gets paid for writing, the actual tactic of writing. Authors are the business side of the writer. So you can be the same person, but the author is looking at the strategy as it relates to what they write, how often they write it, when they write it, how they package it, where it's going to go, who's going to care, and all those things. And so the number one shift for authors is you have to start to define the author side of who you are as to, and look as it relates to your core competencies. If you are truly an artist type and you do amazing things putting stuff together and you are not business geared, you're not money focused, you're not strategic, fine. Own that, but realize you need to fill that void before you can effectively publish, self-publish, or traditionally publish, or anything of the above. If you're very business-minded and you're not a writer, you don't have time to write, you're an orator, you're all those things, fine. The tactic of writing can be outsourced, it can be dictated. There's all kinds of ways to get around the tactic. So separate tactic, strategy, and then ultimately goal. And what I would do is I would write underneath those columns the constituencies that I'll list. Underneath the writer, or a writer would go underneath the tactic column. So on that far